Senator Roberts.
Yeah. Thank you, Chair. Thank you both for being here, Dr. Lowe. In 2016, I had my first Senate estimate session, and I asked the Treasury Secretary, who at the time was John Fraser, a question about the huge increase in money supply. And he pretty much dismissed me and said, no, don't worry about it. The next Senate estimate session, he said, yeah, he acknowledged it. And the third one, he said, yes, the theory is that it will lead to inflation, you're correct, but we haven't seen it yet and we don't know why. So I understand it's a vexing problem, but perhaps you said the words, the best solution is to make the pie bigger, or one of the solutions is to make the pie bigger. You're saying that the answer to the government's funding dilemma is to grow the economy and as a result the tax base. Have you heard of the project Iron Boomerang?
Iron Boomerang,
It involved, we've got the world's best metallurgical coal for making steel in the East Coast and the best iron ore on the West Coast. Build a railway line, fully funded, the investors are ready to go. There's a Senate inquiry taking off on it in the new year, pretty soon. What it would do is take coal to the west and iron ore to the east, massive steel making complexes both in the East Coast and the West Coast. Remove shipping, remove road transport, huge investment. It would add $100 billion to our GDP, which is 5%. Plus, it would open up the north and all of Central Australia. So open it up for the Indigenous living there, open it up for rural communities, open it up for agriculture. Is that something that we should be thinking about?
Well, if the rate of return on that investment is as you described it, and both the financial and social returns as you describe it, then it's something to think about. But
it would make us.
But there may be other, be other projects that have better return as well. So I don't want to endorse it because I don't know enough about it. But in principle, we should be looking at the financial and social returns we get from these projects, and if they're greater than the cost of funding and the economy's got enough resources to do it, then certainly
we've got investors, we're told, from overseas lining up, and also from within. So come back to my formal questions that I had. The Reserve Bank spent the COVID years increasing the money supply, as Deputy Governor de Burle said at the time, by electronic journal entry, his words, commonly called printing money. At an earlier estimate, I was given a figure of $508 billion as the total for electronic journal entry since 2019. Can you update that figure, please?
That's still roughly the size. I think our balance sheet's a bit over 600 billion at the moment.
Around about 600 billion.
And
exchange settlement account balances are probably around 450, something like that.
Okay, thank you.
So our balance sheet has roughly $100 billion of banknotes on it.
Yep.
So that's there's still $100 billion of banknotes out there. That's $4,000 for every person in the country, which I find extraordinary. But so that's one of our one of the elements on our balance sheet, and then we have these exchange settlement balances, which are the electronic money that you talked about.
Thank you. So inflation has gone from not a problem to a 30-year high, 7.8% in the December quarter. On the 2nd of February 2022, Dr. Lowe, you said inflation had surprised on the upside, and in March 22, you predicted inflation would peak at 4.2%. That was at the ABA, Australian Banking Association conference that we both attended. Why were you surprised, Dr. Lowe, when many, including myself, had spent 2020 and 2021 warning the Reserve Bank and the government, including its Senate estimates, that the sheer volume of this money expansion would inevitably cause significant inflation?
Certainly people, and you're one of these people who are making the argument that the money supply expansion was ultimately going to be inflationary, and that has played a role, but as we were talking about before, at least half, maybe 3/4 of the increase in inflation is due to what went on in Europe and the supply side disruptions. So the expansion of the money supply and the low interest rates, and I'd say the government support during the pandemic, has driven inflation. But it's not the full story.
Okay.
Final question, Senator Roberts.
Is 7.8% inflation the price the public is paying for the Reserve Bank supporting the government's wasteful mismanagement of COVID, using lockdowns and other restrictions leading to job seeker, JobKeeper mismanagement that the government caused, which is what necessitated the money creation? did you even consider saying to the government, no, I'm not going to print the money, the massive amount of money, so perhaps reconsider your COVID strategy?
No, we did not do this, and I want to be very clear about this, we did not do the money creation on the request of the government. The 9 people who sit on the board of the Reserve Bank decided to do this. And we had meetings with the government and we understood...
Excuse me, was it because the government had put in place so many onerous restrictions?
No, it was because, and it's easy to forget this now, in early 2020 we were being told by the health people that tens of thousands of Australians would be dead within months. Remember, there were preparations for, including near the Reserve Bank, for temporary morgues in our cities. Our borders were closed, though we were told the vaccine was maybe 3 years, maybe longer away, that this was going to be something that would take the society a long time to get over. That's what we were being told. That was the information.
And we were observing what was happening overseas.
We saw what was going on in New York and Italy. I mean, it was really, really terrible and scary. People were locked in their homes, and that was the fact base upon which we made the decisions to go on this route. And it turns out that the scientists developed a vaccine much more quickly, and the economy was more resilient, and we did too much. But it wasn't. We didn't do too much because the government told us to. Or we wanted. We thought this was the right thing to do, given the information we had at the time.
Thank you, Mr. Lowe. We're out of time for this line. Sorry, Senator Roberts. Thank you, Mr. Lowe. Senator Hume.